go ahead and get started. Be mindful of everyone's time. Welcome. I think this is the last session of the day, I believe. So we're hoping that we can give you a good session to end today. But we want to just say welcome. We are from Rowan-Cabarrus Community College, and today we're going to be talking about when transfer guides or when guided pathways meet transfer guides, or if you're North Carolina bachelor degree plans, as they've also been known in the past. We will go ahead and get our presentation pulled up and started. Okay, can everyone see that? Is it good? All right. So again, welcome. I'm Kelly Antonides. I'm Director of Career and College Promise Programs, and I am honored to be presenting with Danielle Cook and Victoria Powell. They are two of our early college liaisons that we have at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. So I'm going to start out by talking about the goals that we have for our early college students at Rowan-Cabarrus Community College. I think it's really important that we first define what early college is and what we're speaking, how we're speaking to it in this presentation, because across the country there are a lot of different terms for dual enrollment, and early college is one of them. But in the context of this presentation, an early college is a high school campus for us that is located on one of our campuses of Rowan-Cabarrus. And those students earn both their high school diploma and an associate's degree in 4 or 5 years. So this is a really intensive program for students. Also important to note is what we're talking about today is primarily for those students who are earning a transfer degree. So an Associate of Arts, an Associate in Science, maybe an Associate of Engineering or Fine Arts. That is the type of student that we're really working with today. We understand, and we have students, we have a CTE-based early college that collaborates with Rowan-Cabarrus, and those students are earning associate and applied science degrees. And while some of those degrees do transfer, most of them that our students are earning are terminal degrees. So this does not apply to them. So keeping in mind that it is for those students that are in a transfer degree and intend on transferring to a 4-year college or university. But for Rowan-Cabarrus, the goals that we have for our early college students is just that they earn their high school diploma and their associate's degree in 4 or 5 years. In North Carolina, early college students have the ability to utilize a 5th year if it's warranted at their early college. And so we do have 2 early colleges that utilize the 5th year for some students. Our goal is to really meet students where they are and assess their individual path to a degree. So our students, they're earning those Associate in Arts, those Associate in Science degrees. And we don't want to have a one-size-fits-all, because we know the intention behind early college is that it really is tailored to those students. And while a one-size-fits-all may be much easier for the institution, it's not necessarily what we believe is in the best interest of the student, which is why we use this combination of what we term as that guided pathway and the transfer guides. So please keep in mind as we go forward, when we talk about a guided pathway, and we're going to show you an example of that here in a couple of slides, what it looks like. Students, their freshman and sophomore years at the early college, they are really working on heavy high school courses. They're working to check off as many high school graduation requirements as possible. They are taking 1 or 2 college courses during those years, but that guided pathway, when you see it, you're going to see that it is this combination of this semester you take X, Y, and Z high school class, and these are the college classes that you take. Very little choice. I think there's 1, maybe 2 semesters that they have choice in there, but it is very much laid out for them in a guided pathway format. Then when we get to junior year, that spring semester beginning junior year, and really all of senior year, we tailor it to their individual needs, their intended goals and career goals and majors, and they're taking coursework that is specific to them. And so throughout this presentation, we're going to tell you exactly really how we do that. Throughout our process, our goal is always intentional or proactive advising to help students reach their goals and to graduate. So our early college liaisons, who you're going to meet, Danielle and Victoria, are a massive part of that. I would say they are the biggest part of that, because they are the boots on the ground, the individuals working with those students. We have required advising for all of our juniors and seniors or rising juniors and seniors, individual advising. So our liaisons sit down with each and every one of those students at least twice a year for intentional advising. That's not including all of those one-on-one meetings that you have with students for other reasons. And then we utilize more kind of group settings for the freshmen and sophomores because, again, they are in predominantly high school classes at that point in their collegiate career. Early alerts are something that we rely heavily upon. We actually utilize 2 early alert systems at Rowan Cabarrus, but we use those so that we really don't have surprises with our students academically. If they're at risk of being withdrawn or at risk of failing, their attendance is lagging, our instructors are a fantastic resource for us to help give us that notification as early as possible so that we can put in any needed interventions in with the students, and then connecting them to resources. And that can be academic resources, that can be kind of social and emotional resources, that can be physical resources such as food and clothing if it's needed. But all of these are the goals that we have for our students. We want to provide all of these resources for students so that they are able to succeed. So how does this all happen? How do we have this guided pathway model and then tailor these degrees to the students? And one of the questions we get asked most is how does the college schedule permit that? And in doing it, aside from our liaisons and all of the work they do, I would say one of the biggest pieces is that we have immense college support. And the schedule at Rowan Cabarrus, they really prioritize our needs when building the schedule. We have a schedule that rolls over from semester to semester. Approximately about 80% of that schedule rolls over. So there is room for tweaking. But what we're able to do is to work with our department chairs prior to when scheduling needs are due and when they have to submit to provide exactly what it is that our early college students need in those guided pathways. So we work with our early colleges to ensure that their programming in those freshman and sophomore years have not changed or there haven't been any major changes. We get down to the days and times that students need classes and ensure that those courses get on the college schedule. So again, that prioritization is very important. And I know that's not a reality for all early colleges with their institution. But for us, it has been built over time, understanding the college really understands that these students, they're an integral part of our college and they are very, we love having them on the college. And so understanding for them to graduate, they have a unique circumstance being in an early college, we do have that priority. We don't give everything. So again, we're giving those needs to the chairs in terms of the schedule, but we know there's a lot of elective courses and things like that that are built into the schedule that are provided for our traditional student population. So while we may need some of the lower level courses like sociology and the intro psychology, we know that they're going to build in some of the upper level courses, and we utilize those to fill in with the specific needs of our students. Support from your K-12 partners is instrumental. So early colleges here in North Carolina, they are public schools. So we have great relationships with our school district, and you have to. It is vital. And one of the ways that we do that is through a monthly meeting with our principal. So I said previously, we have 3 early college high schools. Every single month, we have a meeting. We bring all 3 of our principals together, all of our liaisons together. We have at least an associate vice president, if not our vice president, who attends those meetings as well. So it really shows our K-12 partners that we are invested in you by having college leadership attend these meetings regularly to hear their concerns, to hear the opportunities, the challenges that this partnership brings, and that helps build, cultivate, and grow, maintain that relationship. Very, very important, I would say. And then student support, having student support from all around, whether it be, of course, here at the college with our team, with our liaisons, myself, but it's with those principals, it's with our college leadership, everyone that has any kind of stakeholder that we can pull in, ensuring that they have that success, that support from them is really important.
So we wanted to give you an idea of what the course sequence will look like for our early college students. So we're going to take a quick look at a student pursuing our AA degree program. Okay, Kelly, could you open it for me?
I am.
Oh, thank you.
It's running a little slow for me. There we go.
Okay, so at the top, you'll see we've listed all the high school classes, and toward the bottom, you'll see the college classes. So like Kelly mentioned, we kind of front load the high school classes. They'll be taking one class in the fall. And on our campus at CBTC, it's going to be their health class. That kind of helps all of the freshmen kind of ease into the college world. We know it's going to be a big change for them, and it kind of gives them an idea of how to be a college student, how to log into their Blackboard account, how to behave themselves in class, what to expect from instructors, and just how to be successful in this new environment they'll be in. During the spring semester, they'll take an elective class. We've chosen Humanities 110 for them. And again, it's just kind of building on those skills of being a college student. Now, during the fall of their sophomore year, they get to choose one of their social behavioral classes. Psychology, sociology, or American government are the options they have. And we typically sit down during their group advising meeting and explain which each class is, the requirements that may be required moving forward, and how it will build into their bigger picture of their four-year degree plan. Now, at the bottom, you'll also see the abbreviation CAA. For us, those are courses that are covered under their our comprehensive articulation agreement. These are, again, general ed classes or even pre-major elective classes. Now, during our junior year or fall number 3, that's when they start doing their full load of 4 classes each semester. On our campus, they're still marking off some of those high school requirements. So this is when they'll start their 2 levels of American history. They'll start their math as well as their foreign language component. If it's in their degree plan, they'll also start one of their sciences. So here we've listed astronomy. It could be biology or whatever's going to fit best for them. In their senior year, again, we'll do an individual approach. This is where you'll see the more individual style for each student. Everyone's going to look different. We do require each student to finish English 231 or Comp 231 as one of their high school requirements. Then we'll start doing more of their pre-major electives. So we'll sit down and it'll look at what majors they're interested in or what four-year colleges and universities they would like to transfer to. And that will really decide how we choose their classes for their senior year. Typically, students have 4 classes on their senior year or each semester, but they may have only 3. So again, it's going to be an individual style that we'll talk about a little bit more. All right. And then student support services. This is going to be important for any student on a college campus, but especially for our high school students who are entering a new world of college expectations, it's going to be a little overwhelming. So we make it a point to make sure that we always connect them to the right support services. And some of the ones that we use the most are listed here, connecting them with tutoring services, whether that's in person or online. We teach them how to activate their accommodations with our Offices of Accessibility, what that looks like, how to walk through that process. We often use the Wellness Center, and that could be for counseling services. That could be figuring out how they learn best in the classroom with different assessments. That could be connecting them with the food pantry that Kelly mentioned, just whatever they need to be a holistic student, academically, mentally, emotionally, socially. That Wellness Center is here to support them, and we want to make sure that they're taking advantage of that. And we often do collaborate with K-12 services. That may be working with the school counselor, the school resource officer, or I even use their messaging services a lot to connect with our students and our parents. So just making sure, one, they're aware of those services and how to engage with them. They won't just use them here at the community college. there'll be resources they need to look for at their four-year institution. So we want to start teaching them how to find those resources and how to utilize them to be successful.
So Victoria mentioned that we start tailoring degrees to individual students starting their junior and senior year. This is just an example of a nursing student that I have this year. You'll notice that she's actually taking summer courses. And even though summer courses are not built into the schedule, some of our students will take advantage of those courses so that they are able to sequence out such things as their biology or their sciences, specifically their math as well. This particular student chose to take Bio 111 so that the foundation in her junior year, she would be able to take anatomy and physiology, which we'll see in most of our transfer guides in the nursing programs that we often see with our partner institutions. You'll also see Spanish 111 and Spanish 112, but I want to point out Spanish 211 as well, because a few of our partner institutions, they do require a third level of Spanish. And so we want to make sure that the students are aware of those requirements so that they can take all of their things while they're here and maximize and truly maximize their time. You'll also notice that our students take History 111 and History 112. Sometimes our students actually do not have enough credits left because we only allow our students enough classes to gain their associate in arts or their associate in science degree. And sometimes I will go ahead and replace that with the high school world history, which our students end up taking online as opposed to taking the collegiate level History 111 and History 112. I also want to point out that this student is actually graduating. This is a graduating senior, and she will graduate in spring 2024. Unfortunately, Rowan Cabarrus did not offer the Bio 155. It's the nutrition course. So the student will actually graduate and then take the Bio 155 at another community college or even their four-year institution. This particular student is also taking Nurse Aid 1 and Nurse Aid 2, which is built into as a certificate that our Career and College Promise students are able to take. It's a very competitive program, just like a nursing program, that it does mimic a nursing program, which awards points for specific classes. So this particular student scored well enough to be accepted in one of those 20 slots. So she's taking Nurse Aid 1. She took Nurse Aid 1 in the fall, and she's taking Nurse Aid 2 this spring. This particular student will be eligible to go directly into the nursing program of her choice. We mimic this off of one of our partner institutions that did also require the collegiate level chemistry. Sometimes we see that at different levels. So this student is ready for her particular institution. And a lot of the courses we take her junior year are across the board, but we really start seeing some differences in the senior institutions her senior year. So we tailor that really specific to the nursing program that she's interested in. All right, then I have another example for the engineering pathway, and our engineering pathway is very similar in that we are tailoring their schedule around their math courses because they have so many. So this particular student is a sophomore, and this is his schedule built out. Now, like Kelly and Victoria mentioned, this is just a blueprint. We meet with our students every semester so that if anything changes, we can pivot and allow for that change. We want them to know what would be expected of them in such a demanding field. So we lay this out for them so that they can kind of wrap their brains around it and know that it's going to be a lot of math. It's going to be a lot of science. Are you up for the challenge? And a lot of our students, they truly are. So this particular student actually is taking AP Pre-Calculus right at this moment. He does think that he's going to place out of that AP exam with that AP score because he typically tests well. We do have a backup plan for him as Rowan Cabarrus provides a challenge exam and allows students they wouldn't get credit for the challenge exam for the lower level maths. However, it would place them directly into the math that they particularly need for their degree pathway. So this particular student, actually, we are missing one of the maths that he needs. We're missing linear algebra, and that's just because, of course, sequencing wouldn't allow. So he will take this linear algebra when he goes to his 4-year institution. I'd like to point out the high school Spanish. This particular student in transfer, he does not need a collegiate level Spanish at his senior institution. So we were able to provide him the high school Spanish. So that allows him to take the physics, the engineering, the technology and society, as well as the Java programming. C++ programming, excuse me, that he needs. We also, for our engineering pathway, we do offer an associate's in engineering. So this particular student is in the associate in science program as well as the associate in engineering, because the associate in engineering allows him to take those entry-level engineering courses that you see in 2025 fall, in 2026 spring. That's what I have.
All right, Danielle, thank you. I would love to add a couple of pieces about the advising when we see these schedules laid out. I'm always amazed when I see an engineering student's pathway because it blows my mind that these are high school students taking some of these courses. But Danielle made a really great point of how the sequencing didn't work out to get the student the last math that they need as an engineering student. And I want to point out that even though our college is fantastic at working with us on the sequencing and what we need for students, we don't have a ton of engineering students. And so when we say, hey, can we have this linear algebra this particular semester, it doesn't work necessarily with the staffing and the sequencing that we have for traditional students who are in an engineering pathway. And we have many more traditional students who are in that engineering pathway. So things do not always work out 110% the way we want them to for these students. But I hope that you can hear from Danielle's description is that she has done everything to really get that student as much as possible while they're here at the community college, through the early college, so that it sets them up for success to give them as much of a 2+2 experience as possible. I think that's really important to note that, yes, we have a great relationship, but sometimes not every single course that we need gets on that schedule. Additionally, we see Danielle's talking about the maths for engineering and for some other STEM majors can be pretty extensive and how many students are taking and the commitment that is. When we do advising, parents are always invited to our advising meetings. They get the invitation. They know when their student is sitting down to start this planning. Really, a lot of that big planning starts sophomore year and into junior year. You can see Danielle has this student mapped out into the spring of 2026. So if those parents want to be a part of this process and we want them to be a part of it, they are always welcome to join and ask questions and understand what exactly their student is doing and the commitment that it takes for some of these really, really challenging pathways that we have. But again, you can see one of the best ways to see how a lot of our degrees are tailored to individual students is to look at the math. If you can remember in that degree plan or in the guided pathway, we have Math 143 put in there. And in North Carolina, that is our what you may call a gateway math course. That's the lowest level college math. And students, they can take that. AA students can take that Math 143, and that will get them their associate's degree. However, what we see in North Carolina is that a majority of the colleges, they require at least a Math 171. So we tailor that. We're looking at what students want to do, where they want to go. We know it's not set in stone, either of those, but it gives us a really great idea and a starting point to see what it is we can put students in to really maximize their experience at the community college.
So just like Kelly just mentioned, we like to maximize their time. So this does help our students achieve the true 2+2 model that is set out for them. Our students, they sacrifice a lot to come to an early college. They sacrifice a traditional high school experience with, football team and all of those good things. So they understand the importance of maximizing their time here. And it is their goal that when they transfer, that they truly only take 2 years. Some of our programs are built for 3 years, like that engineering. Sometimes we will see that, but we want to definitely maximize the time that they're here. So they're super motivated to do that challenging course load that we just showed you on the last slide. They are engaged in the process the whole entire time. Our students come to us in between advising sessions and say, when is our next advising session? They really buy into this. They are courses that our students want to take. Our students understand the importance of taking Intro to Engineering because they've said they wanted to be an engineer all their lives, but they don't truly know what that entails. So that Intro to Engineering is the carrot for them. So they're truly engaged in this process. Some of my students, they like to mark off all of the classes that they've taken all the way, and they have all of their documentation every time they come. So I would say the majority of our students are prepared and engaged. We also thought that, our students are, we have some really intelligent students, so we want to make sure that they are prepared for that transfer. So when they go to their four-year institution, they will be creating their own schedule. They will be picking out their classes. They are the ones that are on the hook for that. So we want to ensure that they are prepared to do so. Students really appreciate this model. I believe it gives them a lot of buy-in as opposed to telling them, hey, you are going to take this class. We do still have some of that because you must take English 111, you must take English 112. There's just no getting around that. However, for the courses that they're taking as electives, I tell them, hey, Calculus 3 is your elective. And they say, hey, I'm fine with that. They're engaged, they're on board 100%, and they have the motivation to do so.
Building off of what Danielle just talked about, I'm going to jump to our second bullet here. Danielle's talking about how engaged students are in that process. Several years ago, we were not utilizing this model. Our students were not as engaged in registering. It was more of us as liaisons looking at what a student would need based on their career trajectory, based on where they wanted to go. And us as staff, we were doing more of the choosing students classes. We may give them options and say, hey, here's your 2 or 3 electives that you have to choose from. Which one do you want? Or which 2 of these do you want? Students were very much more hands-off. And some of the feedback that we got from students, from both students and parents, was, hey, my child is at the 4-year and they are really floundering when it comes to choosing their classes. They are stressed during the registration process. They don't know how to do it. We appreciate what you're doing at the early college and that you're ensuring that they graduate there, but what you're doing and how you're doing a lot of it for them and continuing to hold their hand maybe is not the best way to prepare them when they transfer. And so that's when we really took a step back and started reflecting on how can we make this a process that we are still ensuring that they graduate. They're graduating with more of what they need, but we're also equipping them to be a self-sufficient student who knows how to advocate for themselves and who knows how to do this work and understands the importance of registering when it's your slot to register, when it's your time to register to log in, so that you can get the courses that you need. And we have found that the feedback from students is overwhelmingly positive, that they know how to do it. They have fellow freshmen when they're at those four-year college and universities who they're kind of like, oh my goodness, what do I do? But they're much more comfortable and much more at ease during that process because of how involved they are. It's fantastic to see that. But I will add that our early college students, they graduate at much higher rates than our traditional student population. Now, a lot of that comes with how small our early colleges are. Admittedly, there are only 65 students per class. So each early college hovers around 240 students. So that's the caseload for each of our liaisons as well as the school counselor there. So size has a lot to play with it. There are a lot of student supports, both on the K-12 side and then students having access to all of the student supports that a traditional student has at Rowan Cabarrus as well is something that's important for that. So those things all play in to having that higher graduation rate, but a lot of our students continue to be in the early college setting. They are first generation, they are low SES. These are not necessarily the cream of the crop students that a lot of people assume that our early colleges here in North Carolina are serving. Our students are representative of the communities that they come from. And so we're really proud to say that our early colleges are a majority of historically underrepresented students, and they are excelling just beyond belief, and when you compare them to our traditional student population. So we're very, very proud of that. We wanted to be sure to leave plenty of time for questions and answers. So if anyone has questions of how we do this, or I can go back to that guided pathway model that we have set up for our students, I'm more than happy to do that. But also, if you have any questions, this is our contact information here. We are more than willing to answer anything, start a conversation with you over email as well. We may have a quiet group. Do we have anything in the chat?
We have a couple people giving you your thanks for and saying that they enjoyed the presentation. No questions so far, though.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. I know all of your time is valuable as well. We will hang around for a bit. And if anyone has questions, feel free to chime in. We're more than happy to talk and chat, answer any questions.
There was one about homeschool students.
Oh, absolutely. Is there anything specific about homeschool students, or if we serve homeschool students?
Do you outreach to homeschool students?
Yes, we do outreach. So to be admitted into the early colleges that we have, it begins actually in 8th grade year. So students apply the fall semester of their 8th grade year, and they go through the interview process in the spring semester of their 8th grade year. Our school districts actually oversee the application process for our early colleges. And so I know that we have 2 of our districts do reach out to the larger homeschool co-op groups to inform them that the application is available, it's open. Also, all of our applications are now online, and so it is advertised through social media and things like that virtually to make sure that all of as many students as possible have the opportunity to learn about early colleges and to apply. Homeschool students are able to apply, former private charter. Any student, as long as they are a rising ninth grader, are eligible to apply to our early colleges.
The next question is, do you have any student decide to leave the program?
We do. It is not, I would not say overwhelmingly common, and Danielle and Victoria, y'all chime in. But we do sometimes have students that decide, and it tends to be around the end of sophomore year, that maybe this is not the best option for them. We also have students that the early college, the team and our liaisons, we're looking at their performance in their college classes as well as their high school classes and see that maybe this approach is just not best for the student. And so there are conversations with the student and the parent. And sometimes those students, just to help them towards their graduation goals, their high school graduation goals, it's best for them to go back to what we call their homeschool or their traditional high school where they would have otherwise gone. And that is also an option. But yes, it is okay. And we fully support them. A lot of times the students who may choose to leave to go back to their traditional homeschool, they'll utilize other dual enrollment options through us. So they may take 1 or 2 courses a semester instead of having a full college course load. So they can continue to accumulate those college credits towards their associate's degree, but it's at a slower pace that may fit their learning style best.
You mentioned a student that was on a nursing pathway. So when they graduate high school, are they ready to apply to nursing school? So we have students that go both ways, right? That particular student that I shared, she is ready to graduate. When she graduates, she is ready to apply to nursing school. So she has already reached out to those nursing schools that she's interested in to ensure that she has all of the requirements. So yes, she is ready to go straight into nursing school. There are others that say, this is a bit too much and we need to take a step back, and we respect that as well. We allow them to drive the car. And so if that is the case and they don't want to take chemistry 151 while they're here, that is absolutely fine. Kelly mentioned that we use our parents in some of these decisions and these conversations, and sometimes it is best for their mental health and for everybody else's mental health as well, for them to take a step back. So some of them take a semester or even a year before they're ready to graduate to apply to nursing school.
Yeah, and I'll add that students are not taking anything that they don't want to take. We're not forcing a student to take Calc 3 or linear algebra or differential equations or college level calculus or college level chemistry. It's a decision that is made with the student. Coming to an early college is a choice of the student. Students have to apply to get in. So oftentimes we do get those highly motivated students that they have a goal in mind and they are willing to do what it takes. But some of those students, they are, they're not testing at grade level. That may not be kind of that gung-ho, I've known I'm gonna be an engineer forever. They've not maybe been exposed to all of the careers that are out there. And so early college becomes more of an exploration phase for them. There really is a place for every single student, but I think it's really important to note, and thank you for that feedback, that students aren't doing anything that they don't want to. The goal is to graduate, and we want to ensure that they graduate in a way that is very doable for them, that meets their goals. And Danielle did a fantastic job there in mentioning mental health. We want to make sure that nothing is too overwhelming for them. And sometimes that means, taking a step back, even if the student's fully on board, taking a step back to ensure that their mental health is priority.
Are your EC coordinators full-time employees and their caseload is approximately 260 students, correct?
Yes, they are full-time employees. It is a position that is financially split between the school district that their early college sits in and the community college. However, they are viewed as the community college pays them. So they are community college employees, full-time 12-month employees. Their caseload, yes, like I said, we are 65 students per year because of, students are transient. Our early colleges tend to sit around 240. And yes, that is their caseload.
With so many college courses provided during high school, have you heard about students struggling to schedule required courses in their last 2 years or needing to sign up for additional classes to maintain full-time status after high school?
No. For us, because, and Danielle mentioned it, we graduate our students once they hit, and we sequence it out. We ensure that a student stays for 4 years because they really have to do that in order to get their high school diploma graduation requirements met, as well as the associate degree. It's going to take that for potentially 5 going into the 5th year. And so when they hit that 60, for us, it may bump to 62 credit hours just based on the courses that they take, 62, 63, they're done. They don't stay here to take more than that because we know that that can be really detrimental to, it can have play into financial aid. Like you say, it can play into how long that they're at the 4-year institution, their course load there. So no, but we haven't had any issues because this is exactly as a traditional transfer student operates. When they hit that 60 credit hours, they're graduated and they move on to get the additional, what is generally 60 credit hours at the senior institution.
Do you have any tips to address transportation barriers for high school students to get to the college campus for classes?
Yes, so for the model we're talking about, transportation is provided for all students. Transportation is provided, there are no fees, no textbook fees, no tuition. It is 100% free for the student. However, we also operate a general, what we call dual enrollment model, where transportation is not provided for students. It is absolutely a barrier. It is one that we have in conversation every single semester for our students. A lot of our coursework, especially post-COVID, is accessible online. And we find that for many of our students, utilizing those online options at their high school where they have access to technology and Wi-Fi and everything is a great solution for them. We here at Rowan Cabarrus operate on a true dual enrollment model. So it is college courses taught by college instructors. We have one model where we do have a college instructor in a high school teaching a welding program full time. We're currently exploring more of a concurrent model where we would love to have high school teachers teaching the college courses in the high school. So that would eliminate the transportation barrier. We're looking to do that for some of our high schools or for our high school that is furthest away from any campus. But it is in North Carolina, that is a topic of conversation all the time. Transportation is a massive barrier, especially to students wanting to pursue CTE options, that many of those, you only have the option to take them on a campus. And so students who don't have that, they're eliminated. That's not an option for them. So yeah, something that's always on our mind. I don't have anything option wise to give. I know that we have district sister colleges in the state that their school districts have worked to provide some transportation for cohort models. So they would run a cohort model in the morning and they run a bus back and forth between the college and the high school for students participating in the cohort. But again, you have to have your district on board to pay for that or to split the cost with the college somehow. So it's difficult, probably the biggest barrier we see for our dual enrollment students.
Do you offer any credit recovery for students who fails a high school course, or does that send them back to their traditional school? So we
Go,
offer
Danielle.
credit recovery, for sure. Some of our students, they do get caught in some of that freshman, sophomore courses, and we just work it into their schedule. A lot of times that means taking a summer course, even if it's online, to make sure that they stay on track with their cohort. All right. I have EC students who I set up to apply for the exclusive health AS programs like nursing, sonography, etc. in the state of Massachusetts for all the prereqs to apply, but some of the programs have a February application and the requirements include high school graduation, not on track to graduate. Do you see this issue in your states? It means the kids I have lined up to be ready to apply have to just sit around for a year or go to a 4-year that will accept high school with the understanding they need to graduate before matriculation. So we have our students reach out to those schools because we want to empower them. I have not seen it. I'm sure it is an issue with some of our 4-year partners. Particularly, I have not seen that with the students that have taken the courses that they need. They are allowed to go directly into the nursing program. Now, sonography and some of the other ones you mentioned, I'm not sure about. We don't have a lot of those students that I'm aware of, but the students that do their due diligence, sometimes they tell them to go ahead and apply. Sometimes they tell them to wait. So they're getting direction directly from the 4-year institution.
And for some of those health pathways, like you mentioned, sonography or, any other kind of radiography tech, those for us in North Carolina tend to be other 2-year institutions. So for example, we don't offer sonography here at Rowan Cabarrus, but they offer it at Forsyth Tech. So that student would have to essentially apply and transfer their college credit they earned at our community college to another North Carolina community college, which tends to be a pretty seamless process most of the time. And when it's between sister community colleges, we don't really have that issue. I could see that, Danielle, like at Cabarrus College of Health Sciences or a private institution that offers some of those more specific healthcare disciplines. But yeah, we don't really run into that as often as it sounds like you do in Massachusetts, unfortunately.
For students who are enrolled in your less rigorous dual enrollment programs, example, attending 1 or 2 courses a semester, do your students still follow a pathway of courses that may move them towards an early college graduation once they matriculate post-high school? If so, how have you all centered on which courses may be most beneficial outside of general education courses?
Okay, I think I understand what you're asking. So this sounds like for our non-early college students, and I know some of this lingo gets really confusing because we all use different terminology for dual enrollment, dual credit, concurrent enrollment, early college. There's all sorts of things out there. But for us, outside of early college, our traditional dual enrollment where students are taking college courses primarily online at their traditional high school, they can earn an associate's degree with their high school diploma, but it is very challenging, very, very challenging. We don't have many that do it, but it is possible. However, their pathways are set up a little bit different. So for them, they have a state transfer pathway that they follow, and they have to complete that pathway. That's it's around 30 to 32 hours. So it's a half of an associate's degree. And it really lays out, there's what we call buckets. So they have to complete their math bucket. They have to complete their social behavioral science bucket, their communications bucket, their English bucket. It's not laid out in what order that they have to do it, but they have to complete the requirements within each of those buckets before they can move on out of that pathway that's 30-ish hours onto the complete degree program, which kind of opens up the remaining 30 hours. And that would be where they would tailor their degree. We have CCP advisors in our student services division, and they work with those students alongside their high school counselor to choose the courses that would best work for them. So it's much less structured, if you will, for those students, but there, at least for those first 30 hours, is a bit of a pathway that they must follow.
What student platform do you use for students to plan their classes?
Danielle, you want to take that one?
We do WebAdvisor, because that's just our college platform. So we teach our students to use the platform that our college is using.
Yeah, and that's WebAdvisors across North Carolina as well. There is for some of our traditional students, and we don't use it really for our early college students. We also have EAB Navigate, where students could see in their kind of their progress towards their degree. But WebAdvisor for our early college students is what we use.
And going back to the credits, well, applying into like different occupations. There's another comment. It said the credits are not the issue, just the requirement that they have a high school diploma or GED in hand when applying months early. I still have students that go directly into the program, but it is on the students to reach out to institutions. I've actually had it happen with private institutions and public institutions at this point. So that's not something that I typically see. But a lot of times our students want to go to the same schools. So I see the same schools over and over again. I do not know if that's the case across the board. So I have had, right at this point, I've had 3 students go directly into the nursing program so they did apply without a high school diploma or a GED. Because like you said, they're applying months early.
Yeah, I think part of what may be different in North Carolina compared to other states, I know there are several other states that have statewide articulation agreements, but North Carolina has, I will say one thing we do very well is our articulation. We have statewide articulation agreements with our all of our public colleges and universities, as well as a majority of our private universities. And so that transfer kind of understanding, there's some language built in for early college students as well, that really helps in the transfer process. And so having that statewide articulation that is uniform for all of those institutions across our state is really beneficial for our early college students transferring. And I think it maybe eliminates some of the issues that states that may not have an articulation agreement or have a very strong and uniform across everyone, all those institutions agreement, you may see that more.
Okay, the last question that I see. For the engineering student who has the high school Spanish class, what does his day look like? Will he return to the high school for just the one class and spend the rest of the day at the college? So we are on the college campus. So he does go to the high school building to take that high school Spanish, but then he just builds his college schedule around that high school class. And we know when that high school class will be. I try to do it when it's a less popular time for the college level courses that he will take. So same campus, so it's just going from one building to the next.
We are a few minutes over time now. Seems like you got a great group of questions. Thank you so much, Danielle, Kelly, Victoria. This was a great presentation and it seems like folks were really engaged. We do have one final session. The closing remarks for the conference are happening in about 6 minutes. So I just want to wrap it up so that we can, people can attend that if they want, but thank you so much for a wonderful presentation.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
You all.